Hey, what's happening? This is your host, Tinto. Before we get started on this weekend's episode, I thought I'd give a shout out to everybody that got me a coffee, starting with you, Max. It's one thing to know someone on social media, but another to actually meet them in person. It was great connecting with you at the Madorofia social, so thank you so much for the abundant coffees that came through. And then somebody chose to be anonymous, gave me a significant number of coffees too. Thank you so much. I wish I knew who you were. But if you're listening to this week's episode, thank you so much for the coffees. And then I'm yet to get used to this one. It's not the first time you've got me coffees, but your name gives me proper Elon Musk's son's vibes, which is OUFW4XMNR. Like, what is that? But thanks for the coffees anyway. I know this is not the first time you got me coffees either. Thank you so much for the incredible support. And then we got Vimbai. Oh man, I wish I could tell people just how many coffees you got me, but it's a lot. And thank you. And then Tafi Churu, you've done the same as well. Thank you so much for the consistent support for the podcast. If you'd like to do the same, please head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/feeling station and give as your spirit leads. Remember, there is nothing that is too small to keep the podcast that you love running. Now, with that out of the way, let's pop into this week's episode.
Is that a breakup? I think we have a situation right here. On the Feeling Station.
Hello?
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing really good, and how are you?
Great.
You're welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you.
For those who are listening to the podcast for the first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about, with a view to give you lessons from my guest's experience. And one of the reasons why the podcast is doing great is because I do my best to keep my guests anonymous, which brings me to the fun bit. The part where I give you the name that you're going to use for the duration of this episode. Are you ready for this one?
Yes, I am. I'm excited.
So your name comes from Kenya, East Africa, and your name is Kioni, which is Kioni. Kioni.
Kyo.
Yeah. And that means one who finds things.
Okay.
So out of curiosity, one who finds things. So out of curiosity, right? Out of curiosity, the story that you're going to tell me today, does it involve you snooping around and finding things by any chance?
At the end of the story, yeah. I found things.
People always try and look for things when they shouldn't. Anyway, I guess we'll get to that part. So yeah, your name is Kioni, and it means the one who sees and finds things. Okay. So what are you going to call the person you're talking about today?
Let's call him. I'm gonna go for something very generic. Steve.
Steve.
So that I don't forget.
Okay, cool. So this is a story about Steve and Kioni, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. Another reason why the podcast is doing great for those who are listening to this for the first time is that we get real life lessons from the story that my guest shares. So what lesson or lessons do you have for those who are listening to your episode?
Okay, so I kind of have okay. I try to break them down so that it's not like, the first one I think is you can give your all and your all might not be enough, and that's okay.
And that is and that happens too often, doesn't it? And I think what people struggle with the most is the fact that you can accept that what you've given is what it is, and that's okay.
Yeah. And people have this mentality of, no, but I did this and I did that, and you're not loving me back, or why, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's okay.
It's
like
all
you're
right.
all sometimes enough, and that's okay.
I like that. You got a second lesson?
Yes, I've got two more actually. This one's a bit dark. Happy endings aren't always guaranteed, and that's okay too. Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
Ooh, right. Now that was a whole heap of goodness. You're going to need to say that again for me. So happy endings. It was so good. I got lost in the sauce. Right. Hit me with it again.
Happy endings aren't always guaranteed, and that's okay. So it's better to have loved and lost
Mm-hmm.
than to have never loved at all.
Ooh, that is magic. Right. Lesson number 3.
Love is abstract. So it's not enough to just know that a person loves you when you
Hmm.
can't feel it. Basically, action.
Hmm. Are you an English major or something? Are you a
No,
literature
not at
major
all.
or something?
That
Because
is like
yay, you're
different
dropping
direction.
you're dropping some deep things here, fam. Okay, and lesson number
Yeah.
4.
Oh no, those are the only three.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, right. So I'll play those back. Lesson number 1: you can give your all, and your all might not be enough, and that's okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Lesson number 2: happy endings aren't always guaranteed, and that's okay. So it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. That's
Mm-hmm.
some Shakespeare shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then lesson number 3: love is abstract, and that's some Napoleon stuff there,
Oh wow.
Banksy stuff again, right? It's not enough to know the person loves you when you can't feel it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much having empty words coming your way.
Mhm.
Dope.
Mhm.
So, Keone,
Yes.
tell me where you met Steve and why you felt, yeah, Steve is the one for me.
Okay. It's a bit of a complicated story.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we met and then how we actually ended up dating, because there's a lot of like gaps in between that.
Mm.
But initially, okay, so my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
right? My
Mm-hmm.
cousin's so Steve is basically my cousin's husband's brother.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So he's technically family, but like not,
Yeah, sorta, kinda.
but like an in-law, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so for the longest time, my cousin's brother had been trying to hook me up with him and whatnot, and I was just like, yeah, I'm on this self-care journey. I'm enjoying being single and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so they like sort of gave up on that, and then
Yeah.
we then met in person at a function that was like a local function, right?
So
One
did
of
you,
these big,
so did you plan
you
to
know.
meet or you bumped into each other?
No, no, no. We bumped into each other. So I actually didn't know him. Like he's one of those, like he never used to come to family functions and all of
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
just knew his brother. So we then bumped into each other, and he was actually like, "Hey, Keone," and
Oh.
I remember thinking, this weirdo, what's happening?
how, how did you know you so
Uh,
well though, but you didn't know him?
I think in the process of my cousin trying to hook us up
Mm.
and like showing pictures, probably
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
all of that, because I
Yeah.
had seen pictures of him. I have a terrible memory, so
Okay, right, okay.
so yeah. Then he introduced himself, and I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And then we exchanged numbers, and we started talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't very great with communication initially, so it was one of those like he replies me here, replies me then. So I was just like, "Yeah, I'm happy, like single anyway." Like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't putting any communication or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same sort of time, I then got into another relationship with someone else. Let's call him Taku, right?
Okay.
So in that situation with Taku, things were great. It was a long distance relationship, and I think after like about 7 months, me and Steve were still talking, just like
Generic stuff.
just yeah, not
Mm.
really like going, but we had built a friendship, so we clicked. So we
Okay.
had built a good friendship and whatever. He knew about Taku and all of that, so that
Mm-hmm.
was fine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And like 7 months into my relationship with Taku was now just not communicating anymore. He could go like literally weeks without communicating with me.
Yo, what is it with these
So in
poor
my whole
what is it with these poor
right,
communicators? Myself included.
yeah.
Yeah, because I know I'm rubbish. But
Mm,
but my reason for that is I'm kind of divorced from my phone. As in,
okay.
I don't have it on me a lot.
Mm,
And when I pick it
okay.
up, it's normally the message that's right at the top that I see, then I put it away and I kind of forget about the others until
Yeah.
somebody reminds me that, hey, yo, dude, I'm like, wait, and I'm like, oh, snap, I'm supposed to get back to this.
Yeah.
In fact, let me just go through I'm not on WhatsApp anymore, but let me go to my
Okay.
messaging app real quick, just 1 second.
Mhm.
So on my messaging app right now, it says I've got 31 unopened messages.
Really? That gives
Yeah.
me anxiety. I'm the one that always has to open it.
Yeah, 31, and I don't even know where how if you open the ones at the top and some at the middle, you don't know where the rest are.
Yeah.
So I know within those 31, there's some that are at the bottom there. So if anybody's listening and wondering why I haven't go back to them, I promise to do so today.
Nothing personal. Nothing personal.
Yeah, no, it's not anything personal towards you. I'm just rubbish with the phone. Okay, so Taku was a poor communicator.
No, I mean it changed.
Yeah.
It was fine the first 6 months, 7 months, and then at the end of the 7 months, it was like, what's happening?
Yeah,
my argument was like, this is long distance, though. Like, if we're not communicating, then what do we have?
So the long distance. How long was this distance? How long did you need to travel to get to each other?
Like, I needed to get onto 2 flights.
2 aeroplanes
for like 6 hours each. Like, yeah. So he was far, and we had only met once.
So you're in a relationship with a guy who you met just once, and it was long distance, and you needed 2 flights.
Like,
wow.
And it was working for me, Kate and Joy. It was working for me.
Okay.
But like long distance is just not my thing.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is not about Taku. Yeah. So he would and for you're saying like you're never on your phone or whatever. He would be on his phone.
Oh.
Just like not communicating. I remember sometimes I'd like call and he would be like, I'm sorry, I just not in the mood to like speak right now.
Wow.
Not even I'm busy. Right? So in my head, I had mentally checked out of the relationship.
Yeah.
I had decided that look, this is not gonna happen. So let me just move on. But we hadn't had that conversation. So when all of this was sort of happening, Steve was my go-to guy. Like he would be like, oh, okay, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm so irritated. Taku's being so shady and all of that.
Yeah.
And he was a really good listener. So that's one of the first things that I really noticed about Steve. He was really, really good at listening. And not like the listening, I'm going to give you advice and all of that. No, he was just a good listener. And so we started talking more often, and my conversation was just to start with like either me calling him because I'm like irritated and I'm just like, I need a friend to listen to me and whatever. So that's what happened. And he then said, we hadn't like gone on a date, me and Steve. But then the one time he was like, let me take you out for lunch. Right. So in my head, I was just like, probably naive at the time. So in my head, I was like, I'm going to lunch with a friend, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd have felt as well, because so far you seem to have described a friendship.
Yeah, and I'm not like, I didn't have any feelings for him, but I didn't know that he had feelings for me.
Okay.
Well, that to him was actually like a date, and then I realized it with the way our conversation was going during that. I was like, yeah.
What sort of stuff was he saying to get you to think like, yeah, okay, this is more than just
asking me about like details about my side of more details about my side of the family, details about my type and where I see myself in the next 5 years, and all of
No, but come on, those questions, dude. Those questions, no.
Like,
I mean, if I'm sat with someone and I'm asking about a 5-year plan, she will probably
but it was sort of like almost trying to like, he would then tell me his, and then he would say something like, yeah, no, maybe, if we were to get together, we could make that work, right? Because our 5-year plan sort of like
okay, yeah. When he drops lines like that, yes. Then it's starting to feel a bit more like that.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So basically that happened. I didn't really like him like that. My heart was still sort of with Taku, even though like I had mentally checked out of the relationship.
Yeah.
And then, me and Taku are still talking here and there, but like there's nothing there. And then around January, I then went to a party at Steve's house. Right.
Yeah.
So, everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time. And then I'm like, let me go to the kitchen to get like glasses. Right. because some people had come in and they needed glasses, whatever.
Mm.
Then I got in, and then he came in, and then he sat on the countertop, right? And then he closed the kitchen door, and I was like, okay, you're being weird. Okay. And then he then was like, I'm confused about what I'm feeling, and I've never really felt like this for another girl. The whole speech. I've never felt like this for anyone before.
Yeah.
And I just want us to take this a whole step further, right? And then I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "No, let's just see what happens." And he knew that me and Taku hadn't officially broken up, right? We were still sort of in each other's lives, and he trying also maybe, I guess, to sort of make things work, but like not really. I mean, yeah, long distance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he then pulled me closer, went in for a kiss. A kiss that I enjoyed, I remember. Then I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is happening."
Hold up. As far as you're concerned, Steve is a friend who has shown interest, so you're a bit wary, about whether you really want to be with him or not. You weren't really looking at him in that way. And then he came in for a kiss, and you allowed the kiss. Now,
yes, I did.
I wouldn't be kissing someone or allowing someone to kiss me that I'm not really feeling or into, because the kiss will just feel a bit bleh.
No, the truth is, at that time, I think because I had been fully committed to my long distance relationship, and I hadn't had a kiss in such a long time. By then, it was like 8-9 months in, any sort of physical anything, and also because I was lonely, in terms of emotionally starving. I was emotionally on low battery because I wasn't getting that from him. And this is a guy who's giving me attention that I have a friendship with, and I haven't been intimate with anyone for months because I'm in this long distance relationship.
Yeah, but the person you're speaking to, you're not really feeling like that though.
Yeah,
you're seeing him as a friend, so you would have feelings for him in quotes that are related to friendship, as in, oh yeah, you care for a friend, but not like, look, a kiss is kind of sexual, intimate type thing, and he just doesn't strike me as the kind of guy you were looking at like that.
Yeah, no, he was. I don't know. I think to me Tinto was really just a kiss. I think I detached the whole. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I don't understand it also.
Yeah. Or maybe I had feelings. I had started developing for him without knowing.
This is what I was trying to get to say.
That's not true, though.
That is it possible that maybe you're suppressing some feelings of this guy that were then awakened by the kiss? Because
probably,
look, I've kissed someone that I'm not really into before. I did not enjoy that kiss.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to end as soon as it started. But you just described that kiss as, ooh, Tinto, I really enjoyed that kiss. Okay, so you guys had your kiss. You enjoyed the kiss, and then what happened?
Okay, so then, this is going to just prove your point, Tinto. But then after that, the conversation changed. I was weirded out by it a little, and then I went quiet on him for I think a week. But then the following week, I think because I was also not I was emotionally on 0%. I was also just this guy is just willing to just be that charger that I need or whatever.
Yeah,
just terrible.
I'm not understanding you though.
Okay.
I really don't want to dwell on it, but at the same time, I like it when things kind of add up sometimes. So
I think maybe there was sort of some type of feelings there.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Maybe.
But what I don't get now is the getting weirded out bit. How do you enjoy something and then you get weirded out by it?
No, I think it wasn't weirded out by the kiss. I was just I was in my head, I was like, but I'm still in a relationship though.
Okay.
This was not okay. So I think I was feeling a bit guilty.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. You're having internal conflict.
Yeah, so I'm like, if I
Okay.
keep talking to him, I'm sort of like pushing the agenda of kiss and
Ah,
like all of
okay.
the
Okay. Now
yeah,
this makes sense now. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, we then started talking, and the conversation in the DMs then changed. So it became purely romantic with me and Steve,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Taco still being in the picture here and there, answering my phone calls when he wanted to, and all of that. And
mm,
then I was now about to end it with Taco,
mm.
and then he was like, "No, let me do better. Let me try do better and whatnot." And I just was like, "Fine," because I was also not unsure about my feelings with Steve. I thought my feelings with Steve were purely just um, because he was giving me attention.
Yeah.
It wasn't as genuine as I felt for Taco. Although I felt like really shitty for like being with this person, and Taco's like there and whatever. So
So you get,
anyway,
so I guess you kind of felt that your relationship with Steve was platonic, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
So then anyway, so I then so okay, you know how especially like men now don't formally ask girls out anymore.
Yeah.
They just
True.
like
Yep. Yep.
slip into a
Yep.
relationship
Yep.
and
Yep.
whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for like Steve now just thought we were in a relationship,
He concluded
and
that in his own head.
yeah, and
Oh
he didn't
dear.
say it, but I could tell.
Yeah.
And like the one time, I'd gone to his house, and things happened, and
What did you go into his house for?
we had gone to watch Netflix.
Mm. And things ended up just happening, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but
You see, you know the thing. Did you know what I'm picking up here, Keone? Keone, I think you like skipping out the deeper things and the nicer things. It doesn't work like that here, my friend.
yeah, no, we
So,
had we had fun times.
uh
Um,
okay.
yeah,
Mm.
and in the middle of it all, then he looks at me and he goes, Keone, I love you.
Ah.
What? And in my head, I'm like, yo, I'm so I'm, I
you,
was
you
in my
see,
head,
do,
you're just a time pusher. Like,
did you know what they say about men?
mhm,
They say the best time to ask a man for anything is when you're in the heat of that stuff. Because
mhm.
he will promise you everything under the
And
sun.
yeah,
So for,
yeah.
for him to just blurt out stuff like that means
Mhm.
he was in a really good spot,
No, he
having
was.
a really good time.
Yeah, I think,
But for
yeah.
you, it must have been extremely awkward because how did you respond to that?
I just kept quiet. I just looked
Eesh.
at it. I wanted to laugh so badly, but I just
And
looked
did
at
he
it.
have that look to say, okay, are you gonna say
And I
something
was
back?
like, no.
No. He just said it and then just went about his business.
Yeah, it was awkward. It then got awkward for like
Wow.
a good. But then what happened is
Mm.
I hate awkward situations. So like after 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I then said, I then was like, I love you too, Steve.
Ah. just to get rid of the awkward scent and the
Yeah,
awkward
I
feel
was
in the
just like,
room.
this is
Oh my
very awkward.
goodness.
And I wanted to like now leave, but I was like, this is just
Ah.
going to be
You
worse.
see, you did that man a
And
disfavor. That was a big
yeah,
mistake, I think.
but
Mm.
then, so I was, so yeah, then that like solidified the whole we're in a relationship. And
For him, it solidified it for him,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But
Mm.
my heart still belongs to Taco, right?
Yeah.
But then Taco then eventually broke up with me. I think he then realized that he couldn't sort of like we then realized that look, we're lying to each other right now. So he then broke things up, and I remember being so sad that day. And I remember because Steve was my friend and Steve was my go-to person. It was now weird because now it's like, should I be sad about this? And I remember him telling
Oh,
me, "You only have one day to be sad about this, but if you're so sad about this, then that's a red flag." And I'm
I
like, dude,
wait.
what do you mean,
Who said you only have one day to be sad about this? Steve.
Steve?
So
Yeah,
what
he
did
was
you
like,
tell Steve?
no, like,
You told Steve that this guy's broken up with me, and yet Steve had told you I love
yeah,
you.
because we were like really good friends. Like our friendship, I think it's one of the best friendships I've had in any sort of relationship.
Aye, man, I'm confused, man.
Yeah,
And
no, it's messy. It
it,
gets worse, but
okay,
yeah.
fine. If it gets worse, okay, proceed. Go on.
Okay. So yeah, now and in my head I was like, oh, so now like Steve, now things, like this is now full on obviously blown relationship, and I'm just like, let me just ride this wave. But after Taco, I really just wanted to just be by myself, and whatnot. And yeah. So I
So,
went.
so were you cheating on Taku?
Technically, yes. Yeah, but it was only like it was over like a 2 month period.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, I then got into like full, like now it was just Steve, right? And we really got along. Our relationship just worked, and the whole things were sort of fast checked because our family knew each other. So like everyone in the family now knew that Keone and Steve are dating.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, like I hadn't really met his parents, but like at like, at big family functions, you just know that this person is this person, but like you don't really interact with them. But now it was like
Mm.
more interactions with his family, with his
Mm.
parents, and all of that. Like I then became like a whole part of the family, like, being called in by like his mom to his house and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So things were sort of fast because our families knew each other.
Okay.
Yeah, and at I I then did fall in love with him. Like truly, like not just me saying it back like I did then.
Okay.
And it was like very intense for me. I had never felt like that, like ever before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and he was very romantic. It was so blissful. I remember he did this whole surprise picnic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to do like gestures like that, like just sometimes just show up with like gifts and but for me the biggest thing was the time we spent together.
Yeah.
So we used to our love languages were both quality time. So
Okay.
that
Right.
that worked well for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we always spent time together and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to about 2 years. Uh, so we dated for quite a while. We dated for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, we got to like a month and I mean a year and a half, right? And the Zim economy was now shaky, and where he works, sort of like that was affected,
Yeah.
and they had to shut down and whatnot, right? So he had to then like he then lost his job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was a job he had had for about 7, 8 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
So yeah, and he had like worked all the way up to like, he was about to like make partner and all of that. So it was
Wow.
very emotional for him. And I totally understand how that could have affected his mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to be as supportive as possible, like covering things when I could. If he needed help with this and that, I would be like there to help him. And if he knew, like if he was stressed, I'll just show up with like a 6 pack of beer or something, and just like just trying to make him,
Yeah. Yeah.
feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sort of just the conversation started getting cold, right?
From his
Um,
end.
yeah.
Mm.
So, and this is me, like, obviously so in love, like the love keeps whatever. I don't care whether he's lost his job or whatever. Like for me, things were great.
Mm.
And then it was sort of like a switch. And the switch was like now he wasn't communicating as often. He wasn't happy to see me when I came to see him. He sort of wanted to in my head I was like, no, I think he's depressed.
Yeah.
Probably the work thing. So
Mm.
I was just like, you know what, let me give him time. And then I then asked him, Gucci, what's going on? Like what's up with us? I know I've been sort of been patient with you for the over the last month, but it's been so like emotionally draining for me as well. And he then said, no, I've been thinking a lot about us, right? And this is me thinking,
Okay.
yeah, fine.
Mm.
And I'm like, what do you and me just giving the excuse of that he's depressed. And I was like, what do you mean thinking about us? He's like, yeah, I don't think I love you the way I did
Mm-mm.
anymore. Right. And I then said, what do you mean? How do you just wake up and not like be in love with someone anymore? It's
Mm.
obviously a gradual thing. Because
Yeah.
it literally felt like a switch. It was like a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day it was completely different. There were no signs, as in gradual signs or anything. It was just today was good, tomorrow was bad, and onwards. So I was just like, I don't understand. What do you mean? Is it anything I did or like and all of that? And he was like, I'm not sure what it is, but I've been trying to figure it out. But because I'm not sure what it is, we should just stop having sex, right?
Mm-mm.
So to me, that was like, huh? Like, because I'm also a very big believer on intimacy on a physical level and how that actually affects a relationship. And I said to him, if we are not intimate on a physical level and we're already emotionally drained, that could affect us. I don't think it will do us any good if we can't. Um, I feel like that sort of intimacy will actually assist in us reconnecting. If you're saying you're having trouble connecting with me like you used to, and this is after like almost 2 years of dating.
You know what I find really interesting is how he found that as the one thing that needed to be withdrawn
Mm,
in the first instance. But I guess the answer to this wondering is in what you just explained. To say that,
mm.
sex and intimacy is the one thing that really can make you feel connected to someone. And this is
Yeah.
not discrediting all the other emotional stuff that could make
Mm-hmm.
you feel connected like that. So yeah, I guess I've answered my own question in a funny way in that I think I get why he would have said that's the first thing to pull the plug on. But the reason
Okay.
why it's also very weird is guys are very visual.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't take much for us to be turned on. We just see someone naked and boom, we're ready. We're ready to
That's it.
go.
Yeah.
But this is the first thing is pulling out of the equation. There was a
Mm.
lot going on with him, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And so I was just saying, look, he's depressed. I was going to be very patient with him
Mm.
because I had it was sort of like literally the family, for example, the family was now literally just waiting for a wedding. Like, and
Mm-mm.
it was set in stone. We had been together for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Family functions, everybody knew, like everybody, like
Yeah.
it was just one of those set in stone, we're just waiting for the cows,
Mm. Mm.
and whatever. And so I was very like, okay, I need to like really be there for him and like, let's make this work because this is where I see this going. And, he's my happily ever after. Right. So he then started being cold towards me. So like he just the same thing of like not picking up the phone, and that then triggered my past traumas
Of
with double.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Understandably.
And yeah, so I was just like, ooh, like yeah, and he would say really mean things. I remember that at some point, I think for a good 2 months, I was having a glass of wine before bed because I just couldn't sleep because of the relationship.
Yo.
He would say things like, yeah. So one time I then really got really, really, really like irritated and low, and I was like, do you even value me? Like, what do you value me? Like, what do you take me
Mm.
for example? Who am
Mm.
I to you?
Mm-hmm.
And his answer was simply, you are someone that cares for me that I also have sex with.
What?
He said that to me to my face. And I remember that day, I remember I just left the house. I just left the gate. I started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I was just like, I'm just going for a walk. I needed to breathe.
Yo.
Um, yeah. And so I'm now also talking to my cousin, right?
Mm.
And I'm like on the phone and I'm crying and I'm like, he's doing all of this and all
Mm.
of that. And I mean, that's just one of the very, very, very many things he said,
Mm.
right? Um, and things he was doing. So I was like really upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin was comforting me and saying, look, I was thinking maybe it's the depression, but girl, you're my
Yeah.
first priority.
Yeah.
You're my cousin before these in-laws. You do what makes you happy. If you think you need to break this like up with him or whatever,
Mm. Mm.
that
Mm.
whatever, do what makes you happy. Then I was like, yeah, no, okay. I think let me try again. So let me try and see what so I would, instead of taking what he was saying, and um what I then started doing was I started doing things in excess. So I would do things for him in excess. If he needed something, I would drop everything I was doing. I was literally just like serving him, like filling his cup constantly, because I was hoping that he would pour it back into mine. So I was of that. I just felt like if I loved him enough, he would love me. He would that I would like basically trigger that love that he had for me before, and he would love me back.
Out of curiosity, he's showing you a lot of the signs that Taku showed you previously.
Yeah.
And the natural thing, if there was some real trauma from the Taku thing, would be to start withdrawing immediately, because you would have a sense of what it might end up being.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, you're doing quite the opposite. You are going 10 times more.
Yeah, because in my head, he's my happily ever after. Like it's
So for
in
you,
my head.
so for you,
Yeah.
this was for a selfish reason, really. You wanted to ensure that he remains your happily ever after.
Yeah.
Wh-
And yeah.
What about whatever he was going through? How important was that to you at that moment?
No. This was like, oh, this was now over. Okay, I think I should maybe revise the timeline. He then eventually then got a job,
Mm.
another job. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
things were now sort of like working for him. He was doing in terms of his mental health, he was doing better and all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that. Yeah. He was obviously, it wasn't the same place as before, but he
Mm.
was doing better now. So in my head, I think also just assuming that he was now fine, and
Mm-hmm.
but then when I realized that he's in quotes fine now, but this behavior is persisting,
Mm-hmm.
that stressed me out,
Unders-
because I was then like,
understandably.
because I was then like, okay, so maybe the problem, because I was the one giving him the excuse that maybe he's depressed. He never actually ever said, I'm depressed, I'm sad, that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
acting this way. He just came to me and said, I don't love you like I used to anymore, but I'm working on it, or something like that.
Mm.
That was, yeah.
I think your first lesson is really starting to make sense, where you say you can give your all and your all might not be enough, and that's okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Because at this point, you just mentioned that you are now doing things in excess. So this was now beyond what was your all. It was now really going in and
Mm.
hard.
And even after things were sort of in quotes fine,
Mm.
he still didn't want to have sex with me anymore
So how long did you guys not have sex for?
until the end of the relationship, which was like 4 or 5 months.
Mad thing.
Yeah. So that was happening, and the one time we used to call each other all the time.
Yeah.
And then the one time we had gone weeks without talking, like on the phone, like over call. So I remember then calling. We like, no, we need, since we want to actively fix this. Or I was like, I want to actively fix this. Let's actually schedule a call, which we never had to used to do, like
Mm.
never had to do before. And then we scheduled the call. So it was back when WhatsApp would tell you that the person's on another call, right? So I remember we had
Ooh.
scheduled it for 9 p.m. So
Mm.
I called him, he was on another call. And I was like, oh, he's probably talking to his friends,
Mm.
right? Called him at 10 on another call. And usually you get a notification and then you say, oh, sorry, I'm on another call. But he was just online and not saying anything, right? And I'll text him, Kuti, how far? You know?
Mm. Mm.
11, nothing. Then I was asleep. I remember that day we had a guest, I had cooked, I had whatever. So I was tired. And I was like, I'm not going to wait up for this guy. But a part of me was like, let me just put an alarm for like 11. Maybe he'll be done with the call, right? I put an alarm for 11 and woke up, tried to call him on another call.
Eish.
It gets like, yeah, called him, put an alarm for 12:30, 12 on another call.
Ah. Keone. Keone.
Yeah,
I
so
would have
that was,
stopped. I would have stopped at the second call.
Yeah, but I think in my head also, I was so big on what can I do to make this work?
But by this time, also something should have been ringing in your ear that
Yeah,
no, this is a bit strange. Who is he
yeah,
talking to?
no,
That didn't cross your
definitely.
mind?
No, it did. It did.
Did you have suspicions
So,
of any particular individual?
no,
Okay.
not anyone in particular. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when my suspicion started.
Mm.
So, I then in the morning he then said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking to. Let me give her a random name. I was talking to Mudiwa, another girl.
Mm.
Mudiwa is basically my other cousin, right? And it was like, I know I was talking to Mudiwa. She's going through like mental health issues and whatever. So she needed a shoulder to cry on and whatever. And I'm like, okay, but you could have just texted me that,
Yeah.
like, if that's really what was going on, right? And I remember he said this like around 6 a.m. when I woke up. And then I texted Mudiwa and I was like, were you on the call with Steve last night?
Yeah.
And then she was like, what are you talking about? And I was
Ooh, Shem.
like, are you like, he was saying he was whatever, he's saying
He was on the
you
phone
were
to
having,
you.
you were
Mm.
struggling. And he was like, and then she was confused, right? But she didn't reply my text. But she was online. And then she only replied at like around midday. And she was like, oh, yes, I was on the call with him.
Oh, that's because now you've consulted Steve, haven't
Yes.
you?
Which hurts me because I was like, but you're my cousin though. Like,
Did you at any point check whether they were both online at the same time?
not really, no.
What do you mean
Because
not
he said that. Remember,
really?
he said this. He then said this to me after the
Yeah.
call. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I was. But
So
how would you check that though? If they've
because remember because now you're saying now you're saying to Mdio, hey, were you on the phone to Steve?
mm,
And then she's like, no, I wasn't. And then you mentioned
then she
to her,
goes
oh yeah,
quiet.
yeah. Then she goes quiet. For me, in that moment, I'd be like, are you quiet because now you're checking what the story is so that you guys can back each other up?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't do that. You
No, I
didn't.
didn't.
Okay,
And
cool.
also, like, it was during exam season, and my
Mm.
exams are extremely like unbearable.
Ah, this
So I
was
was,
this must have been super stressful for you then.
yeah. So I was just trying to like keep it together. But I remember that morning I cried so much because in my head, I had sort of, you know, accepted that he would never do that to me. So this kind of confirmation of like, yikes, is this why he's not having sex with you anymore? Is this why he's not communicating with you anymore?
Because he
And
might be
whatever.
having it with your cousin.
No, not with my cousin,
Mm.
with another girl. Because
Okay.
I picked up the whole, you guys, my Taurilan, you guys talk to each
Mm,
other, you
mm,
know?
mm.
Um, yeah, so I just let that go and I
Yeah,
was like, whatever, right? Then it was, I think, a week before my like intense exam week.
yeah.
And I was just like, I can't. This was emotionally draining. I was emotionally drained and I just didn't need that in my life. So I said to him, let's meet up. We met up and I was like, okay, I think it's best we go our separate ways. I then tried to break up with him. This took so much from me because in my head this was my happily ever after.
Yeah.
So he then went into this whole, no, I can't lose you. I need to make it work with you. Let's keep trying. And he did for the next few days, not even. He did
Mm.
for the next few days, and I could tell he was really trying and whatnot. And I remember,
What do you
so it
call
wasn't.
but what do you call trying? Because remember the thing that was pulled out of this equation was the sex. So was he trying to have more sex?
No, no, no.
Was he trying to have more
That was still off the table. I
Ah,
tried to talk to him. That was still off the table.
so the
But
trying is what? Is speaking to you more on the phone.
communicating, yeah, he was being more effective because even on the phone now, it just felt like some other person that I have to communicate with every day. There was no affection on the phone anymore. There was nothing. Yeah, like it was
Hmm.
just very bland. So he was now trying to do that a lot on the phone, and I was just like not. I was happy about it. I was like, okay, so we're
Mm.
fine now. We're good. And I remember so after my exams were done, he was like, oh, no, I need to see you. I just want to talk to you about something. And I remember that being the Monday before his birthday. His birthday was on a Saturday. And I had planned like a whole thing. And I had like got him a really expensive gift and, something that he had been wanting for so long. And then
Mm.
on that day, he came, picked me up from my house. And then he was like, yeah, no. I've tried, I've been trying. I don't want to stress you out during your exams with the breakup, but like I can't do this anymore. So we should break up, right? And then I was like, okay. But I was kind of like, I gave you the opportunity to leave, like to just leave me.
Yeah.
And when I tried to break up with you, did you
Yeah.
want to have the final say or something?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
That's what it feels
Yeah.
like, doesn't it?
And he was a very arrogant person
Mm,
generally.
mm.
So not more of cocky than confident. So he used to say things like, "Yeah, no, I've never had a girl break up with me before," things like that. And
Wow. Okay,
he was very
Steve.
right, right.
Mm.
And another big thing I didn't like about his character was the fact that he was such a I'm going to do how I feel. Like he was very like, oh, if I ask him to go, like, let's go for a lunch date, he'd be
Mm,
like, but I don't feel like it, so we're not gonna do it. Like it
mm.
was always by his
It
books.
was
It
very
was always
self-oriented, isn't he?
yeah, he was very self-oriented. Even like from like going to the movies, I would have to, like he would not like I remember the one time I love musicals. I wanted to go watch this musical at the movie theater. And I was like, he was free, he was available. I was like, let's go. I'm so excited to watch this and whatnot. I would love to go with you. And he was like, I don't watch musicals. And I remember I was about to go by myself and like a friend being tagged along and stuff. So he was very like
Mm.
self-serving. Like if it
Yeah.
doesn't serve him, he's not. So yeah. So I wasn't surprised by the fact that he wanted to have the final
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I was irritated because I mean he knew the trouble I was going through to plan his birthday. He didn't know what it was exactly, but he knew that I was doing something for him. And then, Keone was
Mm-hmm.
like, let me just go and get him a gift and
Mm.
let me go get his gift and give him anyway. Because, I mean, it's his birthday anyway. What am I going to do with that gift? Now that I think about it, I should have just kept the gift. Went and I gave went and I gave him that gift, and I was like, yeah, no, for my process for me to get over you and whatever, I would really appreciate it if we don't talk for a bit, like
Yeah.
because he was very big on being friends with his exes as well. Like, I'm such an amazing person and I was an amazing boyfriend, so my exes want to be my
I
friend,
know Pengamunu is crazy.
yeah. So anyway, that was said and done. So I was like, fine, let me do me and whatever. Then one day I stumbled across so I was stalked, so like after breakups, like you do.
I like how you took yourself back in there. Because
Uh-huh.
you were gonna go down the line if I stumbled across something and I was gonna come after you. and
I
say
was
no, no,
stalking.
no, no, no. They don't just happen.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you decided to stalk him. Now, which social media platform were you stalking him on?
Instagram, right?
Okay.
Then
Mm-hmm.
I went to tagged posts. And then I saw he was tagged in this other girl's post, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this girl recently on his WhatsApp status, he had been posting those girls. I assumed they were like now in a relationship or whatever. With this girl, like when you can just tell like people are dating now. So I was then stalking. And I saw the girl had tagged him in a photo, so I could go to the girl's profile. Now I found her profile on Instagram, and then I was going through her posts. Right,
Mm.
she's like much younger than me, and all of that, and just
Mm.
you then start comparing yourself. Then I found one post that was um all the way in October. So we broke up in November, but this post was like from October, September.
Mm.
And the picture, no, actually August, September, around there. The picture was her, was just of her, not of her and him, but her. But the picture was taken at my cousin's house.
Yo.
So that's when I absolutely lost it. I absolutely lost it. I remember thinking, so then I then dug deeper and I even
Mm.
looked at the comments on that picture and I even saw that, okay, so these guys had been dating already during that time. And my cousins had knowledge of it because she was at my cousin's house. And I was
Yo.
going to my cousin crying about this situation. And she was telling me to just be strong, just, try and make things work. Or like if I didn't want to be in this relationship anymore, just to like want out and all of that. But I was like extremely hurt because then a part of me was like, so your loyalties lie with your in laws?
Yeah. Yeah.
no, it hurt me so much, and I hadn't actually fully cried about the relationship. Um, so that yeah, I remember that day I really broke down, and I was like really like not okay because I
So,
was hurt.
so did you
Yeah.
confront your cousins about it?
No, I'm such a peace loving person. I don't like to
No, but
like.
that's not peace, though. It's
Yeah.
only peace in the sense that you're avoiding confrontation.
Mm.
But
I
internally,
mean.
you would have unrest for a very
Mhm.
long time.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't. I now that I think about it, I probably should have, but I didn't, and I think I was too hurt to even start the conversation. But I did now know where like where I lied in their lives. So I will. So I was just like, you know what, it's fine.
So does this
Yeah.
mean
So
that
then,
you withdrew from your association with them? Did you?
yeah, sort of. But also the funny
Mm,
thing is that like because his family, I'd met like more of his family as well that I hadn't met like through my family. And they still, even till today, they still try to contact me. They still try to have conversations with me. I remember even on my birthday, it was so awkward. Like they all posted me, and I was just like, this is very strange.
but what do they want from you,
Uh,
though?
I don't know. I don't know that. But yeah, I then so I remember with my cousin, she has little kids. So I remember wanting to go see them, and after the breakup, she was now acting very weird. So maybe she found out that I found out. I don't know.
Mm,
Um, but then now, like I used to go see the little kids regularly. Now she was very reluctant about me going to see them, and she would
mm,
make excuses to the extent that I had to purchase something. So she sells stuff. I had
mm.
to purchase something from her so I could go pick up the stuff and see my nieces and nephews.
That's messed up.
Um, yeah. So I the whole situation, even the fact that like, okay, I just want to see my nieces and nephews. Like I don't care about you really.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So it was really hurtful and whatnot. And this happened about 8 7 months ago, and recently
Mm,
he just called me out of the blue, like I think about 2 3 weeks ago.
mm,
Called me out of the blue, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I miss you, and I just wanted to talk to you. I even told my girlfriend that I was going to call you, and she's like really upset with me right now. But I just needed us to have this conversation."
Oh, yeah, so that you feel special. Yeah, you know that I'm doing this and breaking my girlfriend's heart. Whatever, dude.
And I've absolutely moved on. And I think that the whole conversation we then had that day, I think it was just confirmation that I was totally over him. Like I
Why?
felt nothing. I was just like,
But why is he still able to get through to you? I thought you'd have blocked him by now.
no, I didn't block him. I'm not really the break up then block person. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I mean, I can't really say, but
Yeah,
but
I'm not really the break up and block person.
but you know, for me, if
Mm,
somebody is kind of disrespectful like that, you shouldn't have
mm.
access to me because I'm more
No,
precious
yeah.
than that. You know,
Yeah. Funny thing.
and you couldn't see how precious I am, so you won't have
Yeah.
access to me.
Yeah.
It's-
Funny thing is,
mm,
though, he doesn't know that I know that he was with this girl during the time we did. I didn't confront him. I didn't confront any of them. So he doesn't know that I know. So he thinks I just still think the breakup was cordial and he just wasn't feeling it anymore and whatever. So yeah, he doesn't know I
mm.
know that he cheated on me. So and a part of me felt like, oh, maybe it was okay because I had cheated on Taco before with Steve.
No, no,
So a
no,
part
no, no,
of me
no.
was kind of like, you know what goes around comes around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, karma, and all that.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you also just have to recognize that somebody was just an asshole. Full stop.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and dissociated from karma. And you've already described this guy as a really arrogant guy. You know, who says I've never been
Yeah.
dumped. And you know, right now he's saying to himself, "Oh, I still have access to Keone if I need to."
Hmm.
You know, which is not a really nice thing, but that's only just down to the fact that you are a non-confrontational person. You like to
Yeah.
to maintain the peace externally,
Mhm.
but on the inside you've got no peace. And one of the things that I would possibly encourage you to do is not to become confrontational, But at the same time, not allow people like Steve to think that they're getting away with stuff. Well, Steve, I really wouldn't care about. It's more your family, whose loyalty they didn't display towards the people that matter the most, which is you.
Yeah.
Not that you should go ruffle any feathers, but look, it's affecting your connection with your nephews and your nieces. And now you need to go out of your way to order stuff to support their business when they couldn't support you emotionally. You see, there's got to be a trade-off and a benefit for you somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Family can't just be family purely because they're getting pennies into their pocket from people like you who might still be hurting on the inside from them not being loyal to you.
Yeah.
It might be just something as simple as, hey, did you guys know that Steve had this girlfriend at this time when we were dating? And hear what they say. That's a perfect opportunity for them to be honest and open. And if they choose not to be honest and open, I think you need to be revisiting some of these relationships with cousins. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And just going by your own third lesson to say that love is abstract. It's not enough to know the person loves you when you can't feel it. It's not enough for you to know that your cousins love you in quotes, but you can't feel the support.
Yeah, definitely.
So it goes two ways. Hey, are you still stalking him?
No.
You
no,
sure?
I've completely moved on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's your boyfriend now then?
A really great guy, and it's very different from Steve. Very, very nice.
So, reason why I'm asking that, if he's starting off as a really great communicator and suddenly he just stops in the same way that Taku and Steve have, girl, run.
Yep. Pack my bags and go.
Nah, great, Sha. I appreciate you making time to tell me the story.
No problem.
And for those who are listening to this episode, 3 main lessons came out. The first one being you can give your all and your all might not be enough. And that's okay. And I think that's really, really important because as we've heard from Keone's story, she kept giving and giving and giving and giving. And she never got to that point where she realized that was okay. But now she fully understands. So if you're in a situation where you're constantly trying to give to somebody who's not being receptive, it's a good time for you to stop. And that's okay. And then number 2, happy endings aren't always guaranteed. And that's okay too, because you didn't have a happy ending with either Taku or Steve. And that's okay because it's better to have loved and lost than not loved at all, because love is a really, really precious thing. I really like that saying. Really like it. And then lesson number 3, love is abstract. It's not enough to know the person loves you when you can feel it. And I want to extend this out, just basing it purely on the story you've shared. Extend it out to not just people that you're romantically involved in, even friends and family who are around you. If you feel that they're not giving you that love that you need as a person, then maybe it's not the right thing for you to be in and to have around.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for these lessons, Keone. I really, really appreciate this, and you've done a great job.
Thank you so much, Tinto.
You've been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I'll catch you in next weekend's episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagizang.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagizang.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujiziru amai.
Kujiziru amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujiziru amai.